Things you didn't know about Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip's marriage. You'll never guess what Prince Philip calls the Queen. They met when they were very young. Wondering how these two have been together for a staggering 70+ years? It's because they met when they were very young, and the story is quite adorable. The Queen once wrote a letter about the time she met Prince Philip, then Philip Mountbatten. She wrote that the two of them first met at the Royal Naval College in July 1939, when she was just 13 years old. She quickly fell for the 18-year-old Philip, who was a naval cadet at the time. Apparently, Philip was keeping Elizabeth and her sister company, and supposedly impressed Elizabeth by jumping over tennis nets. He joined them the following day on their family yacht, Victoria and Albert, where Elizabeth reportedly couldn't take her eyes off him. They are second and third cousins. Considering the history of royals marrying within the family to keep bloodlines strong, it shouldn't be surprising to hear that Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip are related, in two different ways. The Queen and Philip are third cousins through their relationship with Queen Victoria. Queen Victoria's oldest son was King Edward VI, whose oldest son was King George V, whose second son was King George VI, aka Elizabeth's father. On Philip's side, Queen Victoria's second daughter was Princess Alice, whose daughter was Princess Victoria of Hesse, whose daughter was Princess Alice of Battenberg, aka Philip's mother. They are also second cousins through King Christian IX of Denmark. The Queen is his great-great-granddaughter and Philip is his great-grandson. This was not an arranged marriage. It is certainly not uncommon for royal marriages to be arranged. In fact, most royal unions are predetermined by other members of the family. That wasn't the case for Elizabeth and Philip. After the two met as teenagers, they began a correspondence and started spending time together when they could. Their friendship blossomed into a relationship on its own. And luckily for Philip, the king liked him. Biographer Sally Bedell Smith wrote that the king told his mother that Philip was intelligent, has a good sense of humor, and thinks about things in the right way. Their relationship was a secret in the beginning. Even though the king liked Philip, he wanted to keep his daughter's engagement a secret for a bit. The two had fallen in love and wanted to get engaged by the summer of 1946, when Elizabeth was about 20 years old. The king approved the engagement but felt that Elizabeth was too young. They waited to make it public until she turned 21. Prince Philip gave up smoking for Queen Elizabeth. Philip once smoked cigarettes, a habit that the Queen was not a fan of because of how much she hated her own father's addiction. He smoked so much that, according to Vanity Fair, he kept his valet, John Dean, busy refilling the cigarette boxes. In the end, he gave it up for her. According to Dean, Philip stopped smoking the morning of their wedding, suddenly and apparently without difficulty. Elizabeth took his name early on. At the very beginning of their marriage, Elizabeth did not yet hold the title of the Queen of England, so she actually took Philip's name. When they married, Philip became the Duke of Edinburgh, a title he still holds today. Elizabeth became the Duchess of Edinburgh. However, that all changed once her father died. Elizabeth ascended the throne and became Her Majesty the Queen, while Philip stayed a duke. Their years in Malta were their most normal. From about 1949 until 1951, the Queen and Philip lived in Villa Guardamangia in Valletta, the capital of Malta, because he was based there in the Navy. Biographer Ben Pimlott wrote that these were the most normal of her entire life. The two were newly married, had only one child, and Elizabeth was not yet queen. Their private secretary, at the time, Mike Parker called it a fabulous period. Pimlott wrote that it was a haven of comparative privacy and freedom from official duties. She acted as a service wife, and they left their 1-year-old son, Prince Charles, back in England with his grandparents. They were often away from their children. Malta wasn't the only time the Queen and Philip spent time away from their children. Throughout their children's younger years, Elizabeth and Philip regularly went on royal tours, some of which lasted for months at a time. In his 1994 biography, Prince Charles referred to his mother as distant and remote. He wrote that the nursery staff, not his emotionally reserved parents, were the people who taught him everything and experienced all of his firsts, like his first steps and words. Prince Philip had a tough time with Elizabeth becoming queen. If you've ever watched The Crown, then you know that Philip has long struggled with his wife being the queen, and effectively having a lot more power than him. While the Netflix show is only somewhat based in reality and isn't always completely factual, that part of the story is rooted in truth. When King George died and Elizabeth became queen, Philip had to give up the naval career he loved to help her with royal duties. They moved from Clarence House, the home he loved, to Buckingham Palace, something he wasn't thrilled about. The Crown depicts Philip as an alpha male, frustrated by his role and title, and real reports seem to back that up. Philip was not happy their children couldn't have his name. Philip was also not happy that the family didn't take his name. He wanted his last name, Mountbatten, to be the royal family name. When Queen Mary heard this, she and the Queen Mother were angry and wanted to keep the Windsor name. Winston Churchill agreed, and they all convinced Elizabeth to choose Windsor. Philip reportedly told his friends, "I am the only man in the country not allowed to give his name to his children. I'm nothing but a bloody amoeba." They have always had connecting bedrooms. Elizabeth and Philip do not share the same bedroom, but instead have connecting bedrooms. It's always been that way for them, even when they lived in Clarence House. According to their cousin Lady Pamela Mountbatten, in England the upper class have always had separate bedrooms. You don't want to be bothered with snoring or someone flinging a leg around. Then, when you are feeling cozy, you share your room sometimes. It is lovely to be able to choose. Philip has a weird nickname for Elizabeth. It's hard to imagine anyone calling the Queen anything but Her Majesty, but Philip does. According to Sally Bedell Smith's book, Elizabeth the Queen, Philip calls his wife Sausage. The story behind the name is that she doesn't have a naturally smiling face, so when she meets people, she often looks grumpy. On one formal occasion, Philip said to her, "Don't look so sad, Sausage." The name stuck. There have been rumors that Philip was unfaithful. In the 1950s, Philip was part of a gentleman's lunch club and took tours on the royal yacht Britannia, which fueled rumors that he was having affairs. In 1957, the Baltimore Sun said that he was romantically involved with an unnamed woman whom he met on a regular basis in the West End apartment of a society photographer. There was so much speculation that the royal family had to release a statement saying that it was all quite untrue. Philip once addressed the rumors, saying, "How could I? I've had a detective in my company night and day since 1947. But in a biography of Elizabeth, Sarah Bradford wrote, "Since the alleged party girl affair in the mid-1950s, Philip has learned to carry on his flirtations and relationships in circles rich and grand enough to provide protection from the paparazzi and the tabloids. They never hold hands in public." The Queen and Philip are notorious for their lack of PDA, something that is echoed by other royal couples. They don't even hold hands in public. According to royal biographer Giles Brandreth, who was given privileged access to the couple for his book Portrait of a Marriage, this is because of the stoic values of their generation. Tolerance is a very important part of their marriage. For their 50th wedding anniversary, Philip gave a rare speech about his marriage. He said that what has made their relationship work is the fact that they're tolerant of each other. I think the main lesson that we have learned is that tolerance is the one essential ingredient of any happy marriage. It may not be quite so important when things are going well, but it is absolutely vital when the going gets difficult. You can take it from me that the Queen has the quality of tolerance in abundance.